Stephen, the growth in the manufacturing sector, I should say, has been steady, but it is still quite small, and its contribution to the overall GDP seems to be declining slightly in the last few years. This has been a key factor for the government. In fact, they have tried to introduce the concept of black industrialists, developing black industrialists in the country in order to counter the negative effects and the decline that we've seen in this sector in the last 10 years. You'll excuse the noise behind me because we are at one such factory, in fact, of a young gentleman, Mr. Kgomotso Lekola, who has grown this business, BT Industrial, into quite a significant player in the industry, designing and manufacturing pipes, correct? Water pipes for bulk infrastructure development, is that correct?
Yeah, infrastructure as well as mining.
So tell us a little bit more about how you came to be part of this industry that we know is historically excluding or exclusionary of black people, I should say, as well as young people.
Yeah. So we were doing engineering projects, and at the time we were focusing on water management on mines. We realized at that stage that really not only were the players that were in the industry at the time a little bit informal, but the industry was was ready for competition. So we went into production in 2018, and we've grown quite aggressively since then.
Water infrastructure and revising water infrastructure, especially in South Africa, has become increasingly more topical. We know there's a water master plan, there are great plans for industrial or improving the infrastructure. Are you able to capitalize on that?
So only 46% of South Africans have tap water in their home, which means the majority of South Africans do not have access to tap water. So that's a staggering statistic. It's not just South Africa, but also the continent in general. In fact, if I look at my customer base, only about 50% of my customers are in South Africa. The balance of my business I do on the continent, primarily as a result of that. Water, you know, the city of Rome was home to 1 million people in the olden times because they had aqueducts, right? They could bring in fresh water and take out sewage. So water is central to the development of any country, of any nation. And that's partly why we're in this space. We wanted to be in the guts of industry. It's one thing to have black business participation, but do it only at boardroom level. I think at some point, we need to face the reality that the real business happens on the ground, where you make products, real products, and you have to compete in a commercial sense on quality, as well as value and professionalism, and go out and try to make a difference that way as well. You're right. We've largely deindustrialized South Africa. The biggest contributor to the deindustrialization of South Africa is our economy is open for too many imports. And the reason we are able to produce pipes and do what we're doing is because pipes are not so easy to import, which then means that sector then becomes available for South Africans to participate in.
So there's lots that I want to get into with you, but unfortunately I have just run out of time. I also want to talk about how, as an entrepreneur, you've developed or had to expand your business as COVID happened. It wasn't just pipes. You've moved into the medical sector and you're developing key parts of the medical, what is required in medicine, and we're going to talk more on that, Stephen, and we'll bring that to you later on in the afternoon as we continue to unpack this really fascinating business and this young entrepreneur in an interesting sector that has at least seen growth from GDP, but is also key to see more and more development in the country, Stephen.